Happy New Year. Nice to see you all. Welcome to the Excel Meetup group in Toronto. We are starting a new year with presentations, and nothing better to start a new year than looking at all the awesomeness, all the great things that happened last year that came, new features, new functionality, improvements that we had. And David, I think it's the person more aware that keeps tabs on all the new things that happen all the time. He keeps us in our toes, always knows what's going on. So he's the best presenter for this kind of topic for sure. Glad to see you all and welcome. For everyone new in here, the session is going to be recorded. If there's any issue with Teams, just feel free to log out and log back in. It usually solves. The recording will be posted on our YouTube channel in a couple of days. Anyone can access it. Everyone who replied yes to attend this session will also receive an email in a couple of days, probably during the weekend, with the link for the recording and any files or information we may have to share with you. Okay. Our next session will be in next month. We usually do one session per month. And so, by the way, for new people here, just I tend to forget to introduce myself. My name is Celia Alves. I am an Excel expert. I've been working as an Excel consultant for a couple of years. Recently, I went back to a corporate job. I work as a business analyst for a transportation company. And in my spare time, I still like to play with Excel, although I do that all day long. And I was awarded Microsoft MVP in 2020 for the work that I do here at the Meetup and other channels, helping spreading the word about Excel and helping people learn Excel. So the group started 4 years ago in 2019. During the pandemic times, we went on online before we were meeting in person. And so every month we meet here. Grania Duggan, she's helping me. She's been doing a great job for a long time already, helping with the sessions, helping with creating the timestamps for the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has a huge repository of valuable content. If you go there, you will find all kinds of topics about Excel, and we have the chapters to help you find what you need very quickly. So that's our group. We've been meeting every month, and you can expect the presentation, the email from us with information after the session. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat. We will be monitoring the chat. And our next event, as I was saying, will be in February. Klinsmann Langas, he is from Brazil. He participated on last year's World Championship of Excel, and he's passionate about Excel, the history of Excel. He will be presenting about, he will be taking us through the evolution of Excel and teaching us Excel using examples from the manuals, the original tutorials and manuals that came with the product. So it will be an interesting one. We will see that many of the good stuff that we use have been around for many years. In January, there are other meetup groups around the world. Feel free to take a snapshot. Maybe there are other sessions that you would like to attend. All these meetup groups run with free sessions, free content, great opportunity to learn and to connect with other people from our community. Okay, I think I jumped one. Okay, Excel events. There's a lot going on. So in just, I think, a week or so, less than a week, just this weekend, we will have the Excel weekend happening in Brazil. It has one day in person, but all the 3 days are also broadcasted, and everything is for free as well. The third day will be dedicated to sessions in English. So feel free to join, to check, and take the opportunity to learn on the topics that you are interested in. It will be a full day packed with sessions from presenters and Excel MVPs and other experts around the world. Were you saying something, Grania?
Pardon me?
Were you
No.
saying something? No, sorry. Okay.
No, but I thought you said day 1 was English. I think it's day 3 if your
Day 3.
slide is
So if I
correct.
say day 1, if I said day 1, apologies. Yes,
Day
it's
3
the
is
third day.
Sunday. Now,
Day 3, Sunday, it will be dedicated to sessions, presentations in English. Day 1 and day 2 are Portuguese sessions, and there's one session in Spanish. Okay, February, beginning of February, from 6 to 7 of 6, 7, and 8 of February, the Global Excel Summit is organized in the UK, in London. There's 2 days in person, and there will be one third day online. That third day, if I'm not mistaken, is for free as well. You can still register for master classes that I believe you can attend online. There's master classes, there's conferences, all that. There's a coupon code for 10% off, Celia 10, that you can use if you still decide to attend. There's still time. Global Microsoft Excel World Championship. The finals were last December, but now they just started already the 2024 year competition. So there's different phases throughout the year until we reach the finals at the end of the year. The January session, first battle, it will be in January, on January 25th. And you can find all the information. I believe, I'm not sure, Granny, if you have those links. If not, I will put them on the, you have it? You have them?
they're
Yeah,
in,
okay.
they're in the chat.
Great. Yeah, so in the chat, Granny has been putting all the information. If you want to grab any of that interests you, you can participate. There's different ways of participating and training. The Danielle Steinferhurst meetup, Women in Financial Modeling, they are running training sessions for the ladies who want to participate. So feel free to check that as well. It would be great to see more women there. And that's it. Enough talking. There's my newsletter that you can subscribe. David, in fact, is a co-author, let's say. He helps me curate the content for that newsletter. He helps me review, and he always remembers, oh, there's this other thing that Microsoft forgot to blog about it, but it's new and it came out. So David helps me with the content of that newsletter every day, every month. I'm sorry, we send once a month. And there's other content there, books, our YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, and my blog. All these slides will be available when I send out the emails, so you can find all the links and all the information in there. Okay, so when Excel Consulting is my consulting business, is the sponsor of this meetup group. And if you are interested in learning how to automate your Excel reports that you have to run recurrently and constantly give you headaches and waste a lot of time for doing them manually, I teach how to automate your Excel reports. The Snap Reports Champ website, the Excel Snap Reports course teaches you how to put together Power Query with all the other features in Excel to help you automate your reports. So there's the link there. You can also check. And enough talking. Like I said, we have David Benaim in the house today. I'm going to read his bio. David Benaim has been running a data analytics firm in Cambodia since 2013. He has worked with over 100 organizations and provided Microsoft Office training for over 2,000 participants in Excel, Power BI, presentation skills, and email management. David was recently given the prestigious Microsoft MVP award. Not so recently anymore. We need to update his bio.
Yeah.
David is also a paid written and video blog author for the UK's Chartered Accounting Institute, focusing on being on the cutting edge of the new and exciting features, and has a YouTube channel with over 100 how-to videos on business tech, Power BI, Excel, Zoom, Google Sheets, PowerPoint. And what else, David? Let us know what is missing from that summary. Thank you so much for joining us. It's very early in Cambodia now. So for us, it's evening. For David is maybe 7 in the morning, not yet.
6:45, yeah.
Yeah, so very early. Thank you so much for joining us so early and for all the awesome work that you do throughout the year with keeping us informed and pointing us to everything that is new. Another thing that David also does is that he likes to experiment with all the technologies, just not Microsoft's technologies. So he has tips on Zoom, on Google Sheets, on Canva, all kinds of good stuff. Thank you again. The stage is yours. And
Thank you.
I'll shut up. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you launch the poll? What are your top 2 areas, please?
Okay.
So we're just launching a poll as I'm getting started. Please vote for that one.
Maybe you can explain the question better, because I'm not sure if people will be aware. What are your top 2 areas?
So what are the things that you want to hear the most about? What are the things that you want to hear the most about in today's session?
Okay, it's launched. Can I can only choose 2, right?
Yeah, just choose 2.
I was going to ask if I could choose all of them.
So yeah, thank you for the introduction. So we will get started. So yeah, Celia gave an introduction, but a bit more. I am also a chartered accountant. So I qualified with the UK Accounting Institute, MVP in Excel and PowerPoint as well. I do love PowerPoint. And I've done training with over 3,000 people in Excel mostly, but also other apps. And I did 70 sort of live presentations and things last year in 2023. One of the things that I do as well is I also do stand-up comedy. And a lot of my stand-up comedy sets are actually about Excel. So I'm not publishing any of those online yet. I'm just doing live comedy. But yeah, it's something that I enjoy. And I like to make Excel-related jokes because most people have an everyday experience with Excel. 12,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel under my name, David Benaim. And pretty much everything that we cover on this will be on my YouTube channel as well. I'm going to paste in links to my YouTube and my LinkedIn, so you can follow me along there. All right, so new in Excel in 2023. So we're going to look at what's new for all Microsoft 365 users. Then we're going to look at what's new in the monthly and current channels, then the beta channel, then Excel Online. Then we're going to look at Copilot and Excel AI, which is pretty exciting. And then we'll do a recap of what we've covered. So can everyone mute?
Yes, I'm going to mute.
Thank you. Someone who's got their phone on or something.
Yeah.
So the results of the poll, people seem to say analysis is the most important. Second is formulas and functions, and then is data validation and AI are joint third. So that's good to know. We'll be covering a lot of analysis stuff and a bit of the other stuff. A lot of data validation as well. Less so on formulas and functions last year. But let's kick off with what's new for all Microsoft 365 users. Here is the list of the features that we'll cover. Live sessions, but this one everyone will have it. So copy and paste, Control Shift V. So if you copy a cell and you want to paste it, Control V has always been the way to paste, but that gives you the formula. If you want to paste without the formula, if you copy it, Control C, paste values, this now has a shortcut, which is Control-Shift-V, and that will keep the data, but get rid of the other stuff. I can do it again here. So this dynamic array, copy, and then Control-Shift-V will be the same as doing that one. So this is something that's been in Google Sheets for a while, but very, very useful quick tip. Assign a comment. So if you are doing a comment, so you can right click and you can do a new comment. Now you're able to mention someone, for example, Joe, who works in my organization, and I can click this, assign to him, although I'm going to tell him, please ignore it, it's a demo. And then press that. And he'll get an email notification and an Outlook notification telling him that he's been assigned a comment. It must be saved on the cloud and him having access to it for that to work. Auto data type conversions. So you might be aware of this. It is horrible to need to write a phone number in Excel. However, now you're able to actually write something with leading zeros and Excel doesn't give you an error if you do a certain thing to amend that. Also, if you want to write S7MAR without Excel converting that to the 7th of March, that can happen. Unfortunately, it does need to be something that you turn on in your settings. So unfortunately, this is something that everyone in Excel has had a problem with, but hardly anyone is ever going to go into options and data. And then here is the automatic data conversion. You untick these and then that will happen in your Excel. But very, very few people have ever done this, as evidenced by something that I'm about to show you. So yeah, this is not brand new, but just an emphasis on how no one ever clicks on what's new in Excel. If you write equals and click on a cell in a pivot table, okay, let me do it with another pivot table. Okay. So if I was to insert a pivot table like this, and I'm just going to do something like that. If you write equals to a cell in a pivot table, you get a number, and then when you drag down, it gives you that same number. Let me know in the chat if this is something that you've ever happened. And for 5 years of my career, I was doing this, equals that, equals that, equals that. And it gets really, really tedious. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Well, you're in for a surprise because for a long time in my career, this was something that I was doing. And I didn't realize that this is just an option that you're able to switch off. So if you go to File, and then the options thing that no one who uses Excel ever checks. All right, so if you go to File, Options, can you see that pop up?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
great.
now we see it. Thank you. Great.
All right, great, great. Okay, so the pivot table references thing is in Formulas tab, this one, untick this box, use GETPIVOTDATA functions for pivot table references. Do that one time, and then it will be a permanent thing. So if you are using pivot tables, really, really recommend using that one. I think it's a really, really good feature that should be disabled by default because then you can just do equals to a cell in a pivot table and you get a normal cell reference like this. So let me know in the chat if that's something that's useful. Feel free to type things in the chat. I am following it on my phone. So if you have any questions, you can type it in. That's the GETPIVOTDATA references. The thing that is new, though, the first thing that I showed is the data type conversions, file, and then options. And then in data, just untick all of these boxes. If you untick these, then you'll be able to write leading zeros like a phone number. You'll be able to write 6-SEP. It won't convert that to a date. It still converts obvious things, like if I write 6th of June, that will still convert to a date, but not something like this. But I think this is a better way to do it. Joe, you recommend deselecting this default option? Yeah, I definitely do. If you're a regular pivot table user, then yeah, it's unless your pivot tables change in dimensions very regularly, then it is better. Okay. So keep going with this. Workbook links. So if you have something connected to another workbook, then Excel used to have something called edit links here. It's now changed this to workbook links. Again, these features are available to all. This is a much better way of doing it. It used to have different options, but now it's able to detect and break links a lot better than before. So here is the link that it is connected to, and I can open the workbook, copy link, or break the link. The options are the same, but it's able to detect things a lot better. And also, if you copy and paste between Excel workbooks, that will also be better than it was before. It will not take as much data. For example, if I have here and I take a chart, I'm just going to make this. So if I copy this and paste it into another workbook, the chart is now, I go to chart design and select data. The chart is still linked to that in the data tab and workbook links. I can see that it's showing up here. However, it's still not perfect. Here I have a pivot table that I copy and pasted, and the pivot table, if I change the source data, is actually linked to something, but it's not showing me in the edit links. So for pivot tables, it's still not perfect, but it is a lot better than it was. Yeah, so this workbook is not showing me in the other one.
David, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
David, we have a question from Baljit. They're asking regarding the options and the pivot. Can you change the reference to relative and change the row heading to reference and have that work? So I think she's saying
sorry,
the
I don't
RC
understand
format. I think that might mean the RC format instead of the cell.
I mean, that is an
address.
option. It is in, I believe it's in advanced. Yeah, in formulas, you can say use R1, C1 references. Not something I use, but you can turn that on, yeah. But I'm not sure necessarily that's the question. All right, great. So that is workbook links. I have videos about pretty much all these things, including how workbook links has changed. Show changes. This is a pretty good thing. If you go to the review tab and you go to show changes, it will show you cell by cell who has edited what, which is pretty nice. It is loading up on the right. There you go. So these are the things that I edited, when I edited them, what they were before. It will do things like it won't do things like small format changes. However, it does some format changes. If you merge cells, for example, that will come up here. You'll see new changes. And you can also get cell by cell references. If you right click, you have show changes just to a cell or just to a range as well. So I can right click and show changes just to those, or I can right click on a worksheet also and show changes. So this is a feature that got released in the last year. Yeah. So let me know in the chat if this is something you'll find useful. Document must be saved on OneDrive or SharePoint for that to happen. So dynamic array query. So if you have a dynamic array, you can select it and you can go to the data tab and choose from table arrange. And then all right, someone said, does show changes apply to a workbook that is shared on SharePoint? Yes, it must be shared on either SharePoint or OneDrive for that to be effective. So if you get data from a dynamic array, you'll see here it says from array. So here it's 4 rows and 3 columns, but if I was to change the size of that, there's a dynamic array. If I was to change this is a sequence function that's linked to the number 4 there. If I change this to 5, for example, then if I refresh this will now be 5. So it's dynamically growing. There's another dynamic array one that I'll show you in a bit. Next is Office scripts. So Office scripts is essentially Microsoft's future when it comes to scripting, i.e. it plans to eventually replace this with VBA.
No, back to you, Patty. Inconvenient words.
Please mute everyone, Celia.
Cut me off.
Yeah, okay. So automate, this is a new tab. The first time Microsoft have put a new tab in, I believe, like 20 or so years. Not the tab I would have gone with, because this is all about Office scripts, which I think are very undercooked at the moment. But what you can do is you can record actions or write a new script. And here you have your code editor, and you can either type it in yourself over here. The interface is so much more modern than VBA. Record actions, this is VBA's macro recorder. So now it's actually recording, you can see here, and it's actually going to log the things that I do, except that my Excel is crashing. Yeah. Someone asked, can VBA be converted into Office scripts? Not at this moment, no. Okay, here we go. So now I'm editing my script. And as you can see, if I do something like make that yellow, it's going to show me what it's done. So it's much better than what VBA did, is it shows you what you're doing here on the right. And I can also write, change the color, do something like that, apply conditional formatting to greater than 4. And then it will show them over here, which is much better than Excel's VBA macro recorder, which doesn't do anything like that. So yeah, so then you can stop and you can still edit it. There are a lot of limitations. For example, you can't do relative references with this yet, but you can do it in the edit. If you edit it, you can change to relative referencing, but it's not an option when you are recording the macro. I have a video where I compare Office scripts to VBA as well on my YouTube, if that is something that's interesting to you. Cool. And next we have auto refresh stocks. So stocks and shares, you've been able to do this for a while, or exchange rates. For example, if you write USD to GBP, you can go to the data tab and choose here currencies, and it will give you the currency exchange rate from that. This is pretty cool. This has been around for a while. You can press plus and do the price. And what you're now able to do, though, is you can right click on some and you can choose data type. They call them data types. And you can choose refresh settings, and it refreshes every 5 minutes automatically. That is new. Before it only refreshed manually, but now it refreshes every 5 minutes. Or if you want to change it to manually, you can switch this as well. You have also got conditional formatting intact ranges. So it used to be that when you apply conditional formatting like I've done here, if you insert rows or if you do other things as well, it would create duplicate conditional formatting rules. But now it is much better at detecting and just doing that to the existing range, even though I inserted some rows. Before it used to say something like, if I did that, it used to be 6 to 14, and also 015 to 023, and then it would have a lot of linked ranges like this. So it's a lot better now than it used to be. Yeah, great. Next, we've got right-click search. So you have a search up here. This has been around for a while. Now on right-click, you can also search the menus. So if I want to, for example, data validation, you can add data validation like that without needing to go through the menus. You can, basically do anything like that if you right-click, and then you can search the menus here for something, and it will give you everything. It's still not very good at sort of natural language searching. So something that I use a lot is, and it doesn't give you sub-menus sometimes. So I love doing color scales, but that is nowhere to be found. I need to go conditional formatting, and then color scales. I need to know that that's there. And also, I would usually call this a heat map. So heat map will not come up here. It'll give me some other things. Yeah, it's not that good at natural language searching or at submenu searching either. But it is there. I assume that'll get better in the age of Copilot for sure, though. I've shown you Office scripts. Alt F12 is a new shortcut. Does anyone know what this shortcut does? Just pressed it now. Sorry?
Yeah, I was asking if anyone would know.
Yeah. So Alt F12 opens up the Power Query editor, which is kind of nice. Alt F11, it's kind of a similar thing. Alt F11 will open up your VBA. So yeah, Alt F12 opens up Power Query. Cool. And then the last one is image. So now if you have an image URL, you can convert that into an image in a cell. And they appear in pivot tables as well. I'll show you more about how images work. But essentially, as long as you've got a URL with a valid image in it, Excel will store that number inside a cell. So let me zoom in, equals image, and then source. All the other things are optional. So yes, this is new that it started giving me those things. So if you paste it, okay, it doesn't like that. Let me just put the link in here, equals image, and then this link, and it will give you that as an image inside a cell. You have other options, which I rarely use. So if you want some alt text, so I can do Iron Man, and then sizing, you can do fit cell or fill cell. I'll do that, for example, and then I'll stretch it as long as the cell is there. Or you can do some custom height and width as well. So that is the image function. We're going to look at more stuff with images because that was a big, big innovation to Excel this year. Great. And that kind of covers what's new for all users. Okay, so in terms of a little bit of a fun fact, but in terms of Excel allowing you now to write things like 7 Ma and 8 June like this, the DNA codes actually were forced to be renamed a few years ago because Excel used to convert these into dates automatically. So the actual human genome had names associated with them that looked like this: Sept 1, March 1. But when people would type those into cells, Excel would change those to dates. So because of that, the entire Human Genome Project, one of the biggest scientific projects to have happened in the last 100 years, had to change its naming because of Excel, which is pretty crazy. So now Excel can do it, but only for those people that are using their options manipulations, which is not very many at the moment. So in terms of which channel you have, if you open up Excel, if you go to File and then Options here, if you go open up Excel, File and then Account, here it will tell you in About Excel, it's very small, so it's a bit difficult to see which channel you're on. I'm on the beta channel, but some people are on different kinds of channels. You might have the semi-annual enterprise channel, you might have the current channel, or you might have the monthly enterprise channel. Those will be 4 of the channels that you'll have. There are some very obscure ones as well, but those are the 4 main ones. So, Celia, if you can launch that poll to see what channel people are on. Yeah, so again, to get there, if you go to File, and then Options, File and then Account here. You should be able to see which channel you're on. I'll give you a little bit of time to do that.
Yeah, and these channels are related to Microsoft 365 subscriptions. If you are still working with Excel 2019, 2016, so those were just out of the like a fixed version that could be bought and are not updated monthly or periodically like the other ones. The subscriptions are.
Yep. Thanks, Celia. Yep. So if you are using a non-Microsoft 365 channel, then unfortunately all of these new in Excel features will not be available to you. However, in Excel released a new version in 2021 called Excel 2021, and I believe they are probably scheduled to release one in 2024 as well. So you'll be able to get pretty much all these updates if you just want to buy the one-off package later this year, hopefully. All right, so people are voting. We've had most people in the current channel, and then 4 in the monthly enterprise channel, only 1 in the semi-annual enterprise, and then beta channel is 3 as well. So the current channel and monthly channel, so these will apply to pretty much everyone, apart from the one person who's clicked something else, and 2 people have clicked 2021 or 2019. You won't get these updates in Excel Desktop, but you'll get a lot of them in Excel Online. I've even got a section on things that are only in Excel Online later on. So current channel and monthly channel, autocomplete on data validation list. So as you start typing it, you were always able to click here and see the list, but this has gone through a huge change. Google Sheets has had for decade or so, which is when you start typing in, you will get a drop-down list like this. So you can choose which one you want. You were always able to, when you start typing it, you were always able to get something that's already appeared there. For example, if you have something here and then you want to type in the same thing, it will pre-fill it like that. But if you haven't filled in anything yet, anything existing, you weren't able to get that. But now, as you start typing it, you'll get a restricted list. And this goes even further because you can get something that starts with any word. So over here, I have countries, and then...
Can you zoom out a little bit, please?
Yeah. I have continents and countries like this. And you can start typing in, for example, if you have AF, could be Afghanistan in Asia, or could be Africa and then the African countries. So we'll search for any word in the list. And for me, this means you can say goodbye to incredibly complicated dependent drop-down lists. Because if someone wants to type in whichever version they want, they can just do this in this combination like that. So they can type in Americas, all the ones you have in Americas. They can type in Europe, all the ones you have in Europe. And then if you combine that with this other function that I love called text split, you can get your subdivisions. So with text splits, it's not new from this year, it's new from 2022. You can get your text, and then I can split that with a column delimiter, which is going to be this kind of chevron. Close my brackets, and then I get that split into these cells like that. I really love this feature. Another use case for it is you just want people to write things however they might say it, and you don't want people to have an option of maybe saying UK, maybe saying Great Britain, maybe saying England. So you can just type that in this one. This is an extreme example, but someone can type in that one and get Britain. Someone can type in Britain and get that one. And whatever they type, they will still get the options. I won't do it as this extreme usually, but often I will try and get people to be able to type things in various different ways. All right, so that is dependent list for data validation. That is probably my favorite feature of the year, because this just makes manual data entry about 10 times faster than it used to be. All right, evaluate. So here, if you have a formula, you can now hover over something and it will pop up with what it is. So if I hover over the whole thing, it will pop up with that. If I hover over a value, it will pop up with what that is, etc., etc. Yeah. So hover over to evaluate formula. That is a really good one. By the way, if you're interested in how I get this formula, that is linked to the sheet name. I have it in cell A1 every time. This is this 2022 new feature, but this is a really good one. The way you do that is if you type in equals text after, and then you use cell, and then it's this one. So equals cell, and then file name will give you the cell reference. But the last thing in that is the name of the channel that's taken after this close square brackets. So if you then write text after this one, and then you say, what's it after? The delimiter is going to be speech marks, close square brackets like that. This will give you the sheet name. So I really like that. Actually, in file name, you have to do comma and then any cell will work really well. I use this all the time. Yeah, that is a really good thing. And you can check that with evaluate formula. Get data from dynamic arrays. Make chart from dynamic arrays. This is new. So if you go to insert and a column chart like that, but if I change the sequence to 4, now it will show me 4 and it will be dependent on that. So it's pretty useful. There's a new feature for the current channel. Current or monthly enterprise channel. These are mostly the same. Navigation pane, if you go to the view tab, you have navigation. This is kind of like okay.
Thank you.
So table of contents. Yeah, in the view tab, you have navigation tab here. And it also has subsections like images, and any tables or regions as well are selected there. All right. So I use that one quite a bit. I even have it on my quick access toolbar because I just like being able to navigate. It's searchable. This list is not searchable. So I like that that one is. Get data from picture. I quite like this one. So if you have a photo like this and you want to convert this into something inside cells, here's what you do. You start by taking a screenshot. On Windows, you can press Windows, Shift, and S button on your keyboard. That is a Windows shortcut to take a screenshot. So take that like this of your table. And then if you go to the Data tab in From Picture, and I'm in European style dates, but it does a pretty decent job of being able to get your data. I mean, sure, it's not going to be perfect, but if your alternative is typing this out cell by cell, this is a pretty decent way of doing it. So let me know in the chat if this is something that you would find useful. So that is in the Data tab, and then here we have From Picture. So next up, we have new theme and Aptos. So this is kind of coming very, very soon. So this is all of Microsoft Office. Your color palette has changed from the default. And also, instead of Calibri, your font is now Aptos like this in a new document. So if I put a new document, this will be your theme. You can still change it in the page layout and themes. You can still change it to something else, like this is the previous theme that you might be used to, but the default has changed now. The idea is the emphasis is a lot more on people with visual impairments. So these are much more high contrast colors than they used to be against each other. That is what Microsoft is going for the most part. Also, for people who are into fonts, the uppercase I and the lowercase L can now be seen different with Aptos, whereas with Calibri, i.e. the old font, if I change this to Calibri, then if I do uppercase I and lowercase L, it looks basically the same thing. So it is a lot better there. Getting data from picture would have been perfect on a contract I worked for in services. Joe, yeah, keep up to date with all the new stuff. Check out my LinkedIn. I think it's really useful. As I said, not perfect, but still will help you save some time. Power BI table. So if you go to data get data from Power Platform from Power BI. This used to just be able to get a pivot table, but now you can actually get an actual table directly from your Power BI data set there. So here I have insert pivot table or insert table, and yeah, sometimes it needs you to log you in extra. I don't need to create a table. I'm just going to get this one like that. This is the English monarchs who reigned over the UK. An insert table will insert that, and it is still connected and linked to my Power BI. Might dismiss this if it asks me to sign in. Yeah. So I'm going to dismiss that. Just trust that it works. Sometimes it does ask you to sign in too many times with Microsoft products. Link to a range. So if you want people to just be able to edit something, you can right click and choose share a link to a range, and Microsoft Excel will just create a link that will take the user just to that range. Now, common question is, do they have access to the entire workbook? Yes, they can still see the whole workbook. However, they will be able to get taken directly to that range. You can get linked to a range. You can get linked to a worksheet as well, linked to just this sheet. Or you can also say here in share, you can say link to this sheet as well. So yeah, that is what's new in the in the current channel, or the monthly enterprise channel is most of those features, but not completely all of them. The last one is images in cells. This is pretty huge, I think. I already showed you how to create an image from a link that's available to the to all channels. But if you are in the current channel or the monthly enterprise channel, you can also just have an image that sits there on its own. How do you do that? You can just kind of navigate to it. So I'm going to do it here. Let's make these a little bit taller. If I just click on one cell, I go to Insert and Pictures, Place in Cell. This is new. And I can choose this device. I'm going to go directly to my YouTube thumbnails. And I can multi-select, hold down Shift and select, Insert, and it will actually put all those really quickly inside my cells, which is really cool. I mean, often you have products and you want to have descriptions next to them. Really, really useful. I think the power that this has is really great. Google Sheets has had this for a while. I've been nagging the Excel team to get something, and I really love that it's there. A few things to know about them. So if you do want a big picture, you can right click on it and choose Picture in Cell, and you can choose Create Reference. And this is now a pop-up that is linked to that.
Sorry, David, it's lagging again. I think you need to go slower. Now the picture popped up.
Okay. Picture in Cell. Okay.
Can you please repeat the steps that you did, because it didn't show for us?
Okay.
So that one, that's good, but after where you were saying the last instruction.
Okay, so if you right click on an image and you can choose Picture in Cell, then can you see this now?
Not yet. Okay, now it's coming. Yeah.
So Create Reference will then pop up like this. Sorry about that. So yeah, so that's Place in Cell, right click and Picture in Cell. You have Show Preview. I mean, I don't see what the point of that is. It just shows it to you like that for a second. And then if you have a picture that is above a cell, like this one, you can right click and Place in Cell. So you can move back and forth, or you can right click, Picture in Cell, and place over cells and go back and forth like that with it. Another thing you can do with this is you can also create a QR code of any website. If you use just this link, it's a Google API that can convert any website to a link. So if I do www.google.com, then this will now create a QR code off of that. I can paste this into the chat if this is something that you're interested in being able to do. So over here, I'm going to paste that in there.
Thank you.
Enter. There you go. Okay, so that's what you can do. You can do a QR code. A couple of things. So if you have a filter list, then your pictures will just show you as picture unless you decide to give them some alt text. If I right click on this one and I choose view alt text, then it's uneditable here. That's really weird. Let's do it here. So here I'm going to type thumbnail on Copilot. And then I can do the next one. I can click on this one. This can be block cells. And now if I do a filter, now it's going to show me these ones. So picture if I have nothing, otherwise it's going to show me the alt text. You can create pivot tables which have the pictures in them. And you can also use pictures for VLOOKUPs or SUMIFs as well. Functions. Those work quite well. So SUMIFs here and XLOOKUP and VLOOKUPs work as well. And you can just be referencing the photo. So I can say, look up the picture in this column and return the name. And that works pretty well. Here is a couple of things that I don't know if they're bugs, but they kind of should be. So if you double click a picture and you press enter, Excel will actually replace the photo with the word picture. As if that's something anyone would ever want. It replaces it with the alt text actually. And you can't get it back unless you undo. But once you've undone too many things, you can't get it back. So don't double click and press enter if you have pictures. Another one, often it doesn't actually work. So here you get this blocked thing happening quite a lot. The only workaround I have for this is to actually open the file in Excel Online. So to get to that, you can go to File and Info, Open File Location. This will just take you to the folder online. And then if you go to that file, this is really interesting. I'm pretty sure this error pop-up is supposed to be on Excel Desktop, but it doesn't currently show. So it's still loading. Yeah, here we go. Some data type images were turned off because they require a connection to an external source. I can say turn on images if I'm in Excel Online, but I can't do that if I'm in Excel Desktop. That currently doesn't seem to be a place, a way to change that. So yeah. So that is a bit of a bug that I spotted. All right, a couple of other things. Getting into the beta channel now. So we've covered the current and monthly channels. Getting into the beta channel now. So insiders only features. So here we have better recommended pivot tables, checkboxes that I mentioned at the beginning, group by, pivot by, huge new functions for Excel, %of new function as well. Catch up, manual calc updates, web for examples, show details, Python, customized toolbar, check performance, and then we'll look at Copilot very briefly. So beta channel here. Select some data and you go to the Insert tab, pivot tables and recommended. Recommended now gives you a pop-up over here. It allows you to create something. This is a lot better than what it used to be. It used to be a window pop-up. Now it's a pane. It uses kind of AI to get you a better suggestion. And I can insert on a new sheet or an existing sheet and type in the reference like this. And then I can get that automatically appearing. So this has been in preview. I say it's new, but it's been in preview for at least 1.5 years without going to the current channel, which is very rare. So I'm not sure why it's there, but it is in that. By the way, Celia says I keep tabs on what's new in Excel. That is not just metaphorical. I keep literal tabs that are custom things on my ribbon about what's new. So I manually make this and I see what's in beta, what moves into the current channel, what moves into the monthly enterprise channel, what's new in semi-annual, etc. Because I write blogs about this stuff. So I keep tabs on exactly what's new. Yeah, and I publish these every now and again. So if you're interested, follow me on LinkedIn. Show details in pivot tables, brand new from like a couple of weeks ago. Bill Jelen pointed me out to this one. So if you click on something in a pivot table and analyze, you have show details, and that will give you a breakdown of the table that has that with the description over here. Let me do that again. So if I have here, I want to know what rows make this up. So Dua Lipa in Nice. Let's actually make this less. Just do this in Nice. If I double click, I get this table breakdown of that, which is pretty good. That's so much work. I don't think it's that bad. I just click around a few when I get updates, and I enjoy it. But thank you for your concern. So checkboxes. So as it says, you can do this. Really great new feature. Another thing that's been in Google Sheets for a while. So if you select some cells, you go to the Insert tab, and you have checkbox. Super easy. It used to be much, much harder. And then if you write here equal to this cell, this will give you that. But if you convert this to not a checkbox, well, if I do equals this one plus 5, that will give me 6 because a checked box is 1 and an unchecked box is 0. That's essentially what it can do. There are some more advanced customizations. So if you delete checkboxes like this, then it will just give you this kind of glow over it, which allows you to have you can have nothing is not clicked. One of them is clicked, and then if you just have it like that, it can show you a hover over state, so you can get it to work just in case. And then if you want to get rid of all of it, you can go to clear and clear all, and that will get rid of even the hover over one. Group by and pivot by. So if you have this kind of data, instead of making a pivot table like this, you can do that through functions. Let me bring this a bit lower.
Thanks.
All right. So if I write equals group by, and then row fields, I'm going to choose, for example, singer, Tay-Tay, and then values, I'm going to write sales, and then function. So the first three you have to do, but this gives you a pop-up, which is nice. So you can do sum, you can double click that, close your brackets, and you get it like this. Now, if you want to have another field, you can also have more fields, or you can use pivot by to get two things across. What I like as well is that you can also have text appearing. So I have a video with much more details on this. So if I want to know which cities do these singers play in, I can write that, and my values, I can actually do these. Yeah, you can't do this with regular pivot tables. You can only do this. Okay, all right, so let me do that one again. So equals group by, select these fields, and then values, select these fields. And then in function, I can write array to text like this. Close your brackets, and you get this. That shows you something. It shows you the list of the people, the singers who are in each place. This is actually something that doesn't feature in the regular pivot tables in Excel, which is pretty cool. There are more advanced ways that you can, for example, get rid of duplicates, because there I have Dua Lipa is mentioned twice in Nice. So you can use kind of lambdas, simple lambdas to show you only the unique values. In my video about group by, I talked to you how to do that. I absolutely love this feature that allows you to get this showing there. So pivot by is pretty much the same. So equals pivot by, and then except that I have column fields as well. So I can show, for example, my city here and my singer. And then values, I can choose this one, clients. And then function, I can use %of, for example. And then these things are what to do with field headers. I can say yes and show. These are optional. Square brackets is optional. Row depth. So what do I do with totals? I can do that one. Subtotals. Row sort order, column sort order. So you can also sort it as you wish. Oh. There we go. So it will give you these as a % of the total, and I can make that into a %. So this is pretty cool.
Zoom out? Can you please zoom out a little bit, please?
So %of, small little function, you can say equals %of, no, equals %of, and then I can say sales, data subset, data all is just going to be like this. Press F4 to lock that in, and it will just give me that. I can make it into a % like this. This is a new function that they only put in so that they can have this in group by and pivot by. But it is kind of a bit nicer than writing the formula yourself, which would usually be this one divided by a sum of this one. I know to people on this call, this might be a surprise, but nesting functions, which is what I'm doing now, is very complicated for a lot of people. So %of, I think, is a nice improvement. It means you don't have to nest a sum function inside your divide function. So yeah, that is one that came out.
David, we have one question. Can we use joins to get the same results as group by and pivot by? Power Query joins.
Power Query joins. It would be Power Query. It wouldn't be Power Query group by joins. Power Query joins is similar to an XLOOKUP or a VLOOKUP. Power Query's got group by, which is kind of similar to this. But this is the same as pivot tables as well. So if I go to get data from table or range, it converts it into a table. But in the transform tab, you have group by. So here I can say group by city. I can say sales and a sum. And this will kind of be it. Well, there's a bit of an error. I'm not going to troubleshoot there, but yeah, essentially that should work. That is the equivalent. All right. Catch up. So up here you have catch up. This is similar to the show changes, but it just shows you what happened since you were last in the workbook if someone else is in it. I don't think it's that useful, but it's there. Manual calc state values. Well, let's do web from examples first. So here, if you have a website and I go to the data tab and I choose from web and I paste that. Let me show you in the meantime what it looks like here. This is the Rotten Tomatoes website of the 30 trending movies of the moment. So this changes obviously all the time. Mean Girls, The Beekeeper, Saltburn. Oh, this has changed since yesterday when I made this tutorial. So over here, it will give you the way to edit this with Power Query. And now it gives you what Power BI gives you as well, which is something called Web by Examples. So you can use AI to kind of get an idea of how to split this up. In the meantime, let me show you a couple of, because this takes a while to load, show you a couple of things in Excel online only at the moment. If you have a date in a cell, if you double click that, it will give you this date picker. Only Excel Online, you can navigate, you can click on there and choose the years as well. and it will show you that. So you can get that just by typing in a date in a cell. This will show it to you. Or if you just format a blank cell as a date, it will also do that. Like that. Another thing is you have formula by example. This is really cool. In the age of AI, I want to extract the month, so I can just type in Joel, June, Joel like this. And Excel, I dismiss the pop-up. Excel will try and get you. Yeah, I should stop, give it a bit of time to not do that. After 2, wait a bit. So this can work in multiple different ways. It would work there, but I dismissed it the first time. It's hard to get back a bit. So I want to round this, so I can do 90,000, 14,000, 41,000, like that. And then it usually pops up. It did it when I did the demo yesterday, but it doesn't work now. I can also do, for example, just paste these into something new. It has to be in an Excel table for this to work. So format as table. My table as headers. So this only works in an Excel table. If I write, for example, 80,000 to 90,000 and 10,000 to 20,000 and 40,000 to 50,000. Yeah, well, this was all working yesterday, I promise, and this is actually a pretty difficult formula to write on your own, but Excel will generate that for you. It can also do things like generate something like this. If I want to do the last name and make it lowercase. Again, this was working yesterday, but yeah, usually this would work. It's able to get out formulas like that with you typing in a demo. All right, so here we go. Back to this one that I previewed. Excel will do these suggested tables with all of that, even though the data looks nothing like a table. It looks like this. What is also really cool is you can also do add table using examples, and you can do your one on your own. You can even get the photo of this in your table, which is pretty cool. And it will launch it to a cell because you now have pictures inside the cells. So if you start typing in, for example, here, Mean Girls, then it will fill out that column with all of the others, Beekeeper, Saltburn, Society, etc. So yeah, that is a really cool thing. I'm just releasing the video of how to do this and how to get the pictures probably today. So yeah, so I've shown you those, check performance. This is pretty cool. I realize I've got 5 minutes left, so I'll just do the key ones. So if you go to the review tab, you have here check performance. And this will actually look for times in your workbook where you have formatting that is accidental, like this. So here we have made some colors there. That is probably not intentional. So if I click on these ones, I have beta insiders, or I have this one, current channel is 6 ranges. So anything after your data, or if I go here, the beta channel is that one. And also, if I were to, for example, over here, go really far here and just make these a certain color, so you can't even see that, now it will say check again, and now I have that extra thing. So it will take me to this range. And what's really cool is that you can just press optimize. So I can optimize all, and this will reduce your file workbook size just in seconds, which is really awesome. I've used this a bunch of times. If you have a really bloated Excel file, this will really save you a lot. Okay, you have Python. So a really quick thing on Python. So you can now type Python into a cell using equals py. This is a new function in Excel. And then here you can, I'm just going to paste the code, press Control Enter to commit to Python. And this will actually do a new visual. This is why Python is useful, because it can, in my opinion, it can do some more advanced data visualization, something that looks like this. And if you right click on something, you can, again, do your create reference, and it will show you that chart that you've built. This is an example of a single chart in Python can do all of this. It can show you the correlation between two different descriptive fields and then histograms in the middle. There are all sorts of other visuals you can do in Python. So I have another video about that. This is insiders only. Because Python takes a long time to... Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I'm back now, yeah.
Thank
All right,
you.
so in calculation options, you can do partial calculation options now, which is new. All right, so that is what's new in the beta channel. We've up to 3 minutes left. So I'm just going to talk through Copilot, which is the last thing that I was going to do without a demo. So yeah, honestly, Copilot for Excel is not worth it. It's really great for things like Teams and Outlook. But in Excel, number one, it only works with a table. Number two, it will only work if you have very limited things, like conditional formatting will work for one or two things and give you the wrong answers for a lot of other things. It allows you to, it does work pretty well with being able to write a formula for you. But if you're able to do that with ChatGPT, ChatGPT will give you a formula whether you're in a table or outside a table, whereas Copilot will only work inside a table. And you can ask questions about your data, like, give me a bar chart of sales by country. But you've been able to do that for about 5 years with a built-in feature called Analyze Data, and it's pretty much exactly the same. So Copilot is a really great addition, and it will be in Excel in future. But for the moment, for me, Copilot in Excel, if you're okay with ChatGPT to write your formulas, and the built-in Analyze Data in Excel that's been in there for 5 years, that will get you much further than what Copilot will do. That's my brief thing about that. All right, and that is a whistle-stop tour of a lot of new features throughout the whole of Excel. Yeah.
For AI, we also have that add-in that we can install, Excel Labs, that also has a module related to AI. You can connect it to your ChatGPT account and use it directly from Excel. There's a couple of videos out there about that as well.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's a really good one. It does something slightly different to what Copilot does. Because Copilot will in context do something. So if you say highlight numbers above 50 in your data and you're not aware of how to click on the conditional formatting buttons, it will do that for you. However, to date, the only thing I've seen it do is a few conditional formatting things: bold, highlight, underline, and then sort and filter, which are which is not particularly
still very
advanced.
incipient. Yeah, they will for sure work on that, but it's still very basic in their first steps.
Yeah, the first steps for sure. But it's great.
I think
it's great
you
what
had
it's going to be able to do.
You had another poll, didn't you? We didn't launch
it. Yes, I have another poll. Yeah, you can launch that. It's about how often people use Excel. Yeah.
So launch.
Yeah,
how many hours per week do you use Excel?
Yeah, just an idea to see how often that is.
Oh, the last one should be over 40. My bad. So it says 30 to 40, and then the next one should be over 40.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I put over 30.
All right. A lot of people are over 40 hours in this group. So you probably will not need to use Copilot to filter your data. But yeah, Copilot is going to be great eventually. I have a video that I released where I compare Copilot to doing similar things, sometimes identical things without Copilot. For example, the analyze data feature. But yeah, great.
Okay, thank you very much. It was it's amazing how many different things they put out in just 1 year.
I know, yeah.
They sure were busy.
Yep. Absolutely. It's great that they keep advancing the product.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you know that question about the checkboxes, if it is available for Mac. I think it is. Do you know?
Yeah. Insiders, yeah. Mac Insiders, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and there's a couple of things that are released sometimes first on the web. So even if you do not have the new functions available, but you have a Microsoft account that you can log into your account on the web and use Excel for free there, you can try and you can use the functions, those new functions there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because if you're using Excel 2019 or 16 or 2021, you can get these new features. Most of them on the web. It's not always exactly one for one. And there are some things that they release to web first. For example, the date picker, the formula by example, which didn't work when I did the demo, unfortunately. But yeah, those will release
data validation.
No, that autocomplete is now on Windows as well.
Yes, but it was released first
yes.
On the web, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, any questions before we?
Have you ever tried Zoho Sheet? It's like Google Sheets.
No, I haven't actually. I haven't tried Zoho Sheets. Is it I think it's a paid. Zoho products are usually paid things, so I haven't given them a try. But yeah, it's maybe at some point I should give that a try. But I find Google Sheets in many ways is more advanced than Excel. Yeah, so I have a part of what I'm known for in the Excel. Sorry?
Cut your tongue out.
I mean, part of what I'm known for in the Excel community is, and including telling Microsoft folks, is telling them what Excel does, what Google Sheets does better than Excel. A lot of the features I've shown today, like checkboxes, pictures inside the cells, autocomplete validation, date pickers, they've been in Google Sheets for a decade or so. So yeah, actually, hate to say it, but Microsoft is lagging behind in many ways. And me as a consultant, I will often create systems in Google Sheets instead of Excel because Google Sheets does certain things better. Yeah.
Does Google Sheets have any equivalent to Power Query and Power Pivot?
Definitely not Power Pivot. Power Query, it's got in a function, it's got the query function, which is by far the most sophisticated function that both Excel and Google Sheets currently have, is the query function in Google Sheets, which allows you to do lots of manipulation inside a formula, but it doesn't have a Power Query type add-in. Power Query and tables are probably the thing that are most lacking in Sheets. But for example, I love that you can use translation in a function, in a formula. Sometimes I'm reading. Google Translate in a formula, fantastic. Google Finance, a lot more sophisticated than Excel's stock history function. What it can do with images is still more sophisticated. The certain things that it does with dynamic arrays, for example, the filter function is more advanced than Excel's filter function. It's got an unpivoting inside a function called the flatten function, which I use quite a lot. So there are still things that Google Sheets does better than Excel. Sorry to say.
They are. we cannot forget that Google Sheets had a big help with starting, right? Because they start directly online and copying all a product that already existed, just developing it to work online. And then Microsoft has been evolving the web version to catch up with that. I think they have been doing a good work, but they're still lagging, like you're lacking a lot of features, like you're saying. Some of them they will probably never will be developed by Microsoft. And I was going to say something else, and the collaboration was one of the things that brought plus being free, that brought a lot of people, a lot of users to the Google Suite. Being free, being not having different versions, they're having to deal with versions, it's a big thing as well. And in terms of security, Excel is Microsoft is very strict, and that poses a lot of challenges that make people sometimes choose other options, especially when they need to collaborate, have people collaborating from different companies in the same project. Google Sheets does make it easier to share and to collaborate. But both programs have their strengths and their, I guess.
No, and absolutely. I just posted in the chat, like I wrote last year, probably the biggest ever comparison on Excel versus Google Sheets that's ever been written. So I posted that. And here I'm also publishing, I do a new in tech quarterly blog post where I go through Excel, PowerPoint, Zoom, Teams, Google Sheets, Canva, loads of business applications, and I do what's new this quarter. So if you just want to know 4 times a year what's new in all my products, I publish those every quarter, and I just posted a link to that.
Thank you. That's great. We can then I will email you later today or tomorrow, and if you have anything else that you would like to share, we will be sending this information along with our email to everyone who registered for the session.
And if you follow me on LinkedIn as well, so you'll put the LinkedIn link as well. On LinkedIn, I publish all of this stuff, so fantastic.
Please do follow. Thank you very much, David. That was quite a journey. And it was a great way to start our year with reviewing all that stuff that we now have available for us.
Yes, it was a very interesting session. Thank you so much.
Okay.
There's one more question. Sure. How do you handle duplicates if you want to use VLOOKUP? Firstly, don't use VLOOKUP, use XLOOKUP. It is much better. There is almost no reason to use VLOOKUP unless you have Excel 2019 or older. Learn it. Once you learn it, you'll wonder why you didn't use it before. Secondly, if you want to handle duplicates with either VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP, use another sequence of functions called text join with an if formula inside it. That is how I do it. It will give you the 2 results together. I have a video of it on my YouTube channel. If you check that out, text join if I call it.
Another function to look up multiple results. I'm not sure if that's the point of the duplicates question. Another function to check and to learn, very important, is filter. Of course, that also can be used instead of lookup, of any lookup function in some scenarios. Okay. Thank you very much, David, once again for the early rise today for us. And thank you everyone who joined us live and everyone who is watching later. We will be back again end of February. We will be we are going to do another time travel, this time to the not to the most recent functions. It's interesting. It was not set up on purpose, but the next session will be things that we have had since always and what we can do with them. So I hope we can meet then, and until then, stay safe and enjoy. For us is winter. For David is probably summer.
Always summer here. It is winter, but I went to the beach 2 weeks ago.
So. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for having
Have
me.
a good night.
Thanks for joining
Celia.
us.
I'm going to stop the
you.
recording. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.